Hi, this is Andy from GPS Training. In this video we're taking a look at a couple of multi-activity outdoor GPS watches side by side that I've been testing myself over the last few months. We're looking at the Coros Apex 2 Pro with the colour screen on the left hand side, and on the right hand side the Garmin Instinct 2 Solar. We're looking at these two watches together as they're both very similar in size and weight and features on what they can do. In the video we're not going to do a full in-depth of every single technical spec and screen on the watch, but just to give you an idea of how they look side by side and some of the features and benefits of both watches, which might help you make a decision when you're looking for what we'd class as a sort of mid-priced, mid-range, multi-activity outdoor GPS watch. For more information and full technical specs on the watches, please visit our website www.gpstraining.co.uk. Look under the GPS store and GPS watches, where you'll find Apex 2 Pro and Instinct 2 Solar. So we're going to break it down by looking at the pricing first. We'll look at how the watches are built, the materials used. We'll talk about battery life, GPS signal, what activities you can record with the watches, just to give you an idea. We're not necessarily going to run through every activity available. We'll look at the navigational features, some of the fitness and health features, and finally the smart features on the watches. So the first thing we're going to look at is the pricing on the watches. So the left hand side, the Apex 2 Pro comes in with a retail price currently of £449. The watch on the right, the Garmin Instinct 2 Solar, retail price £349.99. So there's a £100 difference between the two. But when we look at some of the features and benefits, that might help you decide why you're looking at that extra cost on the higher value watch. So the first thing we're going to look at is the construction and what the watches are made of. So if we look at the Apex 2 Pro first, I'm just going to hold that up and just get it in focus on the camera. So the Apex 2, you can see it's got a colour screen. I'm just bringing the backlight on here. It's actually a sapphire glass touch screen. So if I actually unlock the watch, I can swipe up and look at the widgets. So it is actually a touch screen, and it's a very tough sapphire glass. So as well as the sapphire glass, we've got a titanium grade 5 bezel with PVD coating, which is a nice tough bezel. This one is the silver bezel. We do have the watches in other finishes. You can see the Coros logo just sort of nicely engraved on the left hand side there. If I now turn the watch on its side, we've got metal buttons for control on the sides, as well as the touch screen. We've got button control, and we actually have a scroll wheel, which is quite nice. I'm using my thumb there just to move the scroll wheel up the different widgets, and the back button there. If I turn the watch on its back, we can see we've actually got a metal back on this watch, it's stainless steel back, charging port, heart rate sensor on the back, which also measures oxygen levels, pulse ox as well. Tells me it's water resistant to 5 ATM, and we've got quick release tabs for the fabric strap. It's a nice soft fabric strap with Velcro to lock it in place. Nice and easy to put on. It's just one action when it's on your wrist to pull it round and adjust it and lock in the Velcro. It's a nice soft comfortable flat strap. Dries quickly if it does get damp, and nice and easy to wash should I say. If you prefer a silicone strap, there is silicone straps available from Coros, and they are quick release, the 22mm bands, so nice and easy to put on. So sapphire glass, tough screen, touch screen, colour. We've got the titanium bezel with a PVD coating. We've got the metal back and the metal buttons and the nice fabric strap. So I'm now going to move on to the Instinct 2 Solar. So again, this watch is available in different colours. We've got the sort of off-white one here that we're using today. So with the Instinct 2, it has a power glass. So it's actually got a solar panel just around the outside here. You can see if I hold it up to the light, just around the outside. So it's not got the same toughness of the sapphire glass, but the bezel itself is quite raised, so that is going to help protect the screen. The actual material of this watch, it's a fibre reinforced polymer. So actually I should have mentioned on the Coros watch, obviously the whole of the watch isn't metal. The sort of inner part of the watch is sort of a similar material to the fibre reinforced polymer that we have on the Instinct watch. But turn the watch on its back, we don't have a metal back, but we do have the heart rate sensor. Looks very similar to the one on the Coros, and we've got the charging port on the back. This watch has button control. It's not got touch screen. It is just a monochrome screen, which so it's not the colour screen that we've got on the Coros. 3 buttons on the right hand side, and it's got 3 buttons, should I say, on the left hand side, and 2 buttons for control on the right hand side. And it's a soft silicone strap. You can interchange the straps with different colour straps that Garmin do. There's little pins that we depress in here to take the strap off. This one actually has a 10 ATM rating, so it has got a higher water rating for depth than the 5 ATM on the Coros, so I should have mentioned that. Now, we mentioned both these watches are similar in size and weight. They've actually got the same weight with the straps that we've got on them. They both come in a nice light 53 grams, so it can be worn all the time. You don't realise you're wearing them, they're nice and light. Size-wise, they're virtually the same. I'll bring them up to the camera. So on the Coros, on the left-hand side, the Coros is a 46mm by 46 on the bezel, outer bezel, that's the total diameter, and 14mm depth. And the Instinct 2 is a 45 by 45, 14.50mm depth. So it's only half a millimetre deeper and 1mm less in diameter, so virtually the same size. The screen does look slightly bigger on the Coros. I think it might be due to the bezel style. The actual screen on the Coros Apex 2 on the left is a colour 240 by 240 pixels, 64 colours, and the mono screen on the right of the Instinct 2 Solar is 176 by 176 pixels. But turn them on the side here, you can see really they are just about virtually the same thickness, give or take that half millimetre, so you're not going to notice much difference there. So hopefully that just gives you an idea on size and construction of the watches. So the next thing we're going to look at is the battery life that we get from them. So when you're wearing it as a watch, so a standard everyday watch, not using any recording activities with GPS, you can potentially get 30 days with the Apex 2 Pro and 28 days with the Instinct 2 Solar. One thing the Instinct 2 Solar does have with the solar panel, if you've got 3 hours of sun each day and it's not worn underneath a sleeve, you can potentially get unlimited when you use it just as a watch. But quite impressive with both watches. You're not having to charge them every couple of days like some other watches. If you're using it as an everyday watch, we've got 30 days with the Coros and 28 days if we're not using the solar with the Instinct 2. Now, when we're recording activities and using satellites, that will change the battery life. So if I start with the Apex 2 Pro that I've got here in my hand, with the Apex 2 Pro, if we use satellite GPS only, so we're just locked onto the American system recording, we get a very impressive 75 hours. And during the last few months when I've been using the watch, I have been able to achieve that 75 hours. Temperatures can affect the battery life, and obviously how long you bring the screen on. If you keep bringing the backlight on and using it for navigation can reduce that slightly, but I have been achieving the 75 hours. Now with the Instinct 2, if we use GPS only, we're looking at, it is a lower figure, we're looking at 30 hours with the Instinct 2 Solar. So it's still a great figure, but not anywhere near the 75 hours of the Apex 2. But one thing we do have with the Instinct 2 is the solar panel, and that can increase GPS only to an impressive 48 hours. So it's still going to be ample for most people's activities. You can go multiple days recording GPS. I suppose if you're doing long events where you're going non-stop, the benefit of the Coros is that 75 hours with GPS only. Now, one feature we do have on the Coros Apex 2 is we can set it to pick up 5 satellites. So if you're in a more challenging environment and want to lock onto more satellites, rather than GPS only, we can have GPS, GLONASS, Galileo, Beidou and QZSS all together. That will bring the battery life down to 45 hours, but you're locking onto 5 satellites. And also it has an option called dual frequency. So if you're in a really challenging environment, you might be running in an urban environment with lots of tall high-rise buildings to the side of you, you can set it to 5 satellites and something called dual frequency to improve that accuracy, but that will bring the battery life down to 30 hours, but that's still an impressive figure. When we're looking at satellites with the Instinct 2, we don't have the option of 5 satellites of the dual frequency, but the setting I like to use on the Instinct 2 that I found works really well, as well as GPS, you can either set it to GPS and GLONASS or GPS and Galileo to pick up 2 sets of satellites. And I found with the GPS and Galileo, that's worked really well. It does reduce the battery life potentially by a few hours from that figure that we quoted of 30 hours with non-solar, but that's still an impressive figure from the size of these watches. So that was just a bit about battery life, and we moved on to, of course, the satellite signal as well, how they differ with the option of the 5 satellites or the dual frequency on the Coros Apex 2 Pro, and on the Instinct 2 Solar we have the option of GPS and GLONASS or GPS and Galileo rather than just GPS. So this leads on nicely to when we're actually recording activities with both of the watches. So both of the watches have a big long list of activity types that you can use and record with them. I'm not going to list every single one out now, but if you go onto our website and look under the gpstraining.co.uk website and GPS watches in the store, we have got within the specs, we do list the activities that these watches can record. Now the Instinct 2 does have some extra activities over and above what we have on the Coros Apex 2 Pro, so just bear that in mind, check what activities you're doing just in case they're not listed. But in a nutshell, both of the watches will cover all your typical sort of running activities, whether it be outdoor, indoor or track running or trail running. We do hiking, climbing, walking, swimming activities. Both the watches are suitable for swimming, open water or pool swim. So remember, 5 ATM rating on the Coros and 10 ATM on the Instinct 2 Solar. Gym activities, we've got lots of cardio workouts, multi-sport, strength training, jump rope activities. Both of the watches will do triathlon and multi-sport. We've got rowing activities, windsurfing, flat water, indoor rowing, so it's just in skiing, there's options. So it's just giving you an option of the sort of activities we can record on them. And I know with the Apex 2 Pro they have added multi-pitch climb for climbers, which we don't get on the standard Apex 2 non-Pro version. But have a look at the full specs for the list of activities. Now what I like on both watches, when you're recording activities, you can set up each of these activities that you're doing to have different data boxes. So basically when you're doing an activity, you can have the watch auto scroll between different data boxes, the sort of information you want to see. You can change the layout of these data boxes nicely using both of the respective apps that you use to set up both of the watches. So you can have data boxes where there's potentially only 2 data boxes, 2 fields, 1 large field, 4 fields, 5 fields. The more fields you put, the smaller the data is going to look. And I'll just give you an idea of what this data looks like. I'll start with the Coros watch first, and I'll just get it into an activity and start an activity. And I'll just let this focus in so you can actually see. So it's just locking onto satellites, which was that satellite indicator that we got. So on this screen here, I've actually got it set with 4 data boxes, a distance, a speed, an average speed, and a timer going at the bottom. I can use the scroll wheel to scroll down to the next one. I've got a heart rate, battery, time of day, timer at the bottom. And as you scroll down, I've got one here where there's only 2 data fields, pace and average pace at the top, and then timer. It's actually just locked onto satellites, which is very impressive considering I'm inside the building with limited view of the sky. But it gives you an idea of the data fields. I can use the touchscreen to scroll up or down, or the scroll wheel. What's nice with the Coros, even when the watch locks to stop you accidentally stopping an activity, we can still actually scroll up and down the data fields that you've set. So you can have things to do with cadence, heart rate, speed, time, elevation, loads of choices there on what you can set up. Similar setup on the Instinct watch. I'm just going to actually start an activity again just to show you what we get. So on this one, it's a monochrome display, but it still looks nice when you're just looking at the data fields. I'm just going to let this focus in so you can see these. So what we've actually got on the Instinct is I've got a pace, a timer and a distance. We have the little circle at the top right. So when we look at the circle at the top right, that actually can have something like your heart rate's often a popular one to set in there. And basically we can have this watch where it auto scrolls as well. So when it auto scrolls, it will actually scroll between the boxes. We don't have a scroll wheel on the Instinct 2, so we actually have to use a up or down button to scroll between the different data fields. We can have one big large data field, which I've actually got a heart rate one set here on the screen. So you get loads of options like the Coros as well on what you want to set on these data fields. I've actually got one that is just the time of day there that you can see on the screen. So I'm just going to come back to the next sort of activities, the next sort of bit on the activities. When we've recorded an activity, we can review that data on the watch itself, so you can look at information about what you've done. I like the Coros that actually shows lots of graphs that are in colour, so it is a little bit easier sometimes to see. But again, the Instinct does show all of that information. But both of the watches, when you sync it with the respective apps, you can see all the information about your distances, your speed, your cadence, your heart rate, your calories burned, your recovery times. All that sort of information is nice and clear on the app. So I'll just give you an idea now. If I actually come off this activity, I'm just going to actually stop the activity on the Coros, and what I'm doing is I've just unlocked it. I'm just going to finish this activity, just give you an idea of the sort of information that we see. So I'm just going to go into some history on it, and then we'll zoom in and let you see the sort of information. I think it always looks better when you're looking at the information on the app itself, but it is nice to be able to look back on history and information that you recorded. So on the Coros there, I can see a one that I've done a few days ago. It's telling me it's 14 mile. The timer 4 hours 17. It was a hike I did. Even shows me the maximum elevation. When I scroll down, I get lots of information to do with training load, aerobic and anaerobic data, and best mile, average pace. Lots of nice graphs to do with elevation, heart rate graphs as well, and what zones I was in the heart rate, what power I used. Again, back to elevation there, cadence information, calories, etc. We get all that sort of same information again on the Instinct as well. So I'll just show you some history on the Instinct. So I'm just going to stop this activity, and we'll just go and actually delete it just to clear it off the watch, and we'll give you an idea of the activity information we can see. Now again, I think looking on the app's always better, but it's nice again that you can review some data on the watches directly. So I'm just going to come back out of here and go into one of the history menus on this one and have a look at an activity. So I'm just going to scroll back down a bit just to find an activity that's actually being recorded. Let's see what we've got here. Got one here. So this looks like it's a hike. Tells me it's a hike. It's got the distance, and if I see all stats, it's got the time, average speed, heart rate, average and maximum, and some stuff about anaerobic and aerobic, training load, etc. So lots of information in there. That was actually recorded off a different watch, but it's synced via the Garmin Connect app onto the history on this watch. But it just gives you an idea that you can see that information after recording an activity. So the next thing we're going to move on to is navigation with the watches. Now both of the watches have what we call ABC sensors. So that stands for altimeter. So you get height data from the altimeter, you get barometric data from the barometric pressure sensor that's built into the watches, and C stands for compass. Both watches have an electronic compass, so even when you're standing still, we can look at a compass. So I'll give you an idea of the compass on the Coros first, and then we'll get the compass on the Instinct watch. And then we'll show you how you can navigate courses that you've sent to your watch routes. So that is the nice colour compass on the Coros here. We're inside the building at the minute, so it's better when we go outside and we're not near anything that's going to interfere with it. But we have got a full electronic compass, and when I go into the compass widget, I can actually see when I get a satellite signal, it would show my grid reference, and I've got pressure data and height data as well. So I'm just going to come back out of there now and bring up the one on the Instinct watch. So it is on a monochrome screen on the Instinct, but we have got, if I go into the widgets, I'm just going to show you the compass. So there is the compass. It's actually got my bearing that I'm heading at the minute in that top window. and we can actually, when we move down, get barometric and height data as well. So very similar, just displayed in a different way with it being a monochrome screen. So as well as that, what's nice with both of these watches, you can get what we call GPX files, which is the format we use for routes that we want to load on a GPS device, and you can send them to both of the watches to follow as a course line, a route line on the watch. The way we do that with both watches is nice and simple. You email yourself or open up a GPX file on your mobile smartphone using the respective apps. So the Garmin Connect app with the Garmin, the Coros app with the Coros. You can then view the GPX file in much bigger detail on a map on the app, get all the elevation data, distances, etc. on the map on the app, and then simply transfer those routes to your watch. Now the main difference with the Coros over the Instinct 2 is we do actually have the watch comes with colour topographic maps. Now the maps don't have live data where you can say, like a car sat nav, take me to this point and it will navigate around trails or roads. You do have to follow a GPX file that you've sent to your watch, which is basically overlaid on top of the map. But the map does have features like lakes, streams, forest areas, shows you roads, etc. So it is useful to have some sort of map in the background. It's a colour map, and when we're navigating a route on the Coros, we do have a coloured line that has nicely little arrows built into the line, so you can see the direction of the route. Where that is useful if you've got a circular route and you try to remember which way around you'd plan to go, and if you've got a route that crosses over itself, or if you come to a section where you're going to come back on yourself when you get round the route, it clearly shows you white arrows for your direction of travel. On the Instinct 2, we'll just have a line on the screen to follow. It does work nicely still, but you don't have that mapping in the background, so it's not always as easy to see when you've got a route that doubles back on itself. I'll give you an idea of what it looks like on the Coros. I'm just going to actually load a course up that we've got on here, and then I'll zoom in a little bit closer so you can see. Now both of the watches, if you deviate off course, they will alert you that you went on off course, and you get a little arrow pointing you, or a line on the Coros actually pointing you where you need to go back on. Just a straight line, to be honest, but it does let you know that you've went off course. And with both watches you can view elevation data as well. So you see here I've got a colour map on the screen, and I've got an elevation graph as well. So I'm just going to show you how you can zoom in on here. So I'm just going to unlock it first. There we go. So I can zoom in. I can use the scroll wheel to zoom out and zoom in. Now when you're actually recording the activity and you start an activity, I will actually get, I'm just going to use the touchscreen to move this down, within this pink line that you can see on the screen, I will actually get white arrows built into that to show you the direction of travel. What I'll actually do, I'm just going to start an activity on here just to give you an idea what that looks like. So if I just go into my trail run and show you that. Now another feature that's nice with the Coros, if you use the app, so you do use the app of course to import the route before you send it to your watch, what you can actually do is on the app is mark points of interest. So that can be, it could be feed stations if you're doing an activity, somewhere you want to get to, a checkpoint, and then on the watch when you're navigating that route, you actually have a screen that shows you the distance ahead to that point of interest. So I'm just going to scroll down past the graph. Now I haven't got a satellite signal at the minute, so it might not show, yeah, it's not showing me the distance yet, so I'll leave the watch to see if we lock onto satellite, but it's got a screen here that says next way, sorry, just moved away, next waypoint, and it will have the distance to that when it locks onto satellite. So we'll come back to the watch, see if I can lock onto satellite while we're in the building here, but it's that colour screen that we're getting, so that's the difference. We do get an alert if we go off course. At the minute the Coros doesn't have turn alerts to say turn left or right, but I believe that is coming because it is a feature that they're currently testing. So if I now go to the Instinct 2 watch, and we're just going to load a course on here, so I'll just give you an idea what it looks like on this watch, and then we'll move in closer so you can see. So if I get up the course and just load it and say do course, so you'll see on the screen here it's a black line to follow. You're the black triangle, so whereas we have the blue triangle in the Coros, you're the black triangle. We do have an arrow pointer that once I get a satellite signal, that will point in the direction of travel. And you basically see yourself move around that black line. You do need to use buttons to zoom in and out. By holding buttons in, we can select the pan and zoom and you can zoom in and out and move the map around, but it is button control, whereas we've got the touch screen on the Coros to move the map around, and we have a nice easy scroll wheel that we turn to zoom in and out. Now on the Instinct 2 you can have watches at the minute that show, data fields that show estimated time of arrival, estimated time en route. That hasn't come to the Coros yet, but I believe those data fields are going to be added. But both watches will nicely display distance to destination, which I always find is one of the most useful ones. So if I just go onto the Coros now, I'm just going to see this one's actually locked onto satellites now, so I can actually see here. I'm just going to unlock it and then zoom in just to see if you can see these white arrows on the screen. So I'm just zooming in here, and hopefully you can see I've got some white arrows. So the blue triangle is where I am at the minute. It's just giving me an alert to say I'm off course by 86 foot, and those white arrows basically are what I will see as I go around that route. And if I scroll down the screens now, sorry, I'll just come back out of there and scroll down, we can actually get to the one that has next waypoint. It's just lost signal again, that's why I haven't got next waypoint, but once we actually get a signal we would get next waypoint. I'm in the building here, that's why we're not locking onto satellites, but when it locks on it does show distance to next waypoint. So I'm just going to come back out of here now and scroll back onto the course map. So that just gives you an idea of navigation. So the main difference for me with the watches are the Instinct 2 from Garmin is a black and white screen. We don't have maps, but we do have those turn alerts at the moment. So yeah, they've always been there. I mean, currently we have turn alerts on the Instinct 2. It will tell us if we deviate off course. With the Coros, the main advantage is we've got the colour maps. We don't have the turn alerts at the minute, but I believe that is coming. Now with both watches, when you're recording an activity, there is a nice feature called back to start. So at any time you can tell the watch to take you back to the start, and it will follow the exact breadcrumb trail that you've just walked, run, cycled, etc., which is really useful. So that's just a little bit of information about the navigational features. So the next thing we're going to talk about is just an introduction onto the fitness side on the watches. So on both of these watches I'm just going to stop this activity just so I can show you some of the widgets that show fitness information. So I'm just going to stop this activity by going into a data screen and stop there, and I'm just going to finish the activity just so we can show you on the Coros first. So we have what we call widgets that you can display. I can use the touch screen to move up them or the scroll wheel, and the sort of things we're looking at fitness wise is it records how many calories you've burned in a day. So where it's got the calories, it's telling me 98 calories so far today. I can look back on different days and see what the calorie burn has been on different days. All this can be reviewed in the app as well. Number of steps, we always look at steps for fitness. Again, I can review back history of steps on the nice colour graph display. We've also got floors climbed, information about our running fitness, so information there about race predictor, what expects me to do a 5k, 10k, etc. in. That gets more accurate the more runs you've done. Haven't done a lot of running at the minute, it's mainly been hikes, but the more running I'll do, I'll get a more accurate race predictor. I'll get training load, information about recovery time, heart rate information. We've also got other screens here where we can look at sunset and sunrise data in the widgets. We can look at the pressure data from the barometric, height data. It's got a built-in temperature gauge for the actual watch itself. So loads of extra information there as well. So fitness wise, we've got a similar thing on the Instinct 2. So I'm just going to come right back out of here just to get right back to the watch itself. So we have widgets on the Instinct that we move down where we can get information, and we've got sunset and sunrise actually the same as the Coros watch. Now I know that's not really to do with fitness, so I'm going to get onto some of the fitness information. We can look at steps information on the screen. We can get our heart rate information. We can get sleep data. I didn't mention sleep data on the Coros. We've actually got sleep data. So that's just giving you an idea of some of the widgets. So really what you're looking at when you actually go into the app, we're getting a lot more information to do with what our heart rate's been. We can get pulse ox readings, oxygen levels. I mentioned calories, steps, sleep. All of the watches do this. All of the watches give you race predictors, give you recovery times, loads of information that you're going to be able to look at to work out training plans that you're doing. Actually, both of the watches, you can send training plans to them as well to follow. So there's loads of fitness data. It's all based on information when it's recording your runs, etc. And on the back of the watch, of course, we've got the heart rate monitor that does the oxygen levels and heart rate as well. The best place to actually view the fitness data is on the apps themselves. The final thing to talk about is the smart features on both of the watches and the standard watch features. So I'm going to start with the Coros Apex 2 Pro. So the first thing we're going to look at is watch faces. There's loads of different choices on the Coros app that you can download to the watch. The watch will actually store 5 favourites, so you can actually switch between the 5 favourites directly on the watch. But you can download, there's loads more choices than just 5 on the app, but you can store 5 on the watch at any time. So I'm just going to go into the watch faces and give you an idea what they look like. So I'm just going to scroll around to watch faces, and you'll see here when I scroll up and down here some of the ones that I've downloaded from the app. So I'm just scrolling up and down them. So I can pick one of these watch faces, just going to pick a different one, select it. Some of them have choices of colour as well. Now what you'll find on the watch faces, they'll have a standard, what they call like a master data box that you can use the back button when you're wearing the watch to change what you see. So if you look at the data box at the bottom, it's got calories at the minute. If I press the back button, it's got altimeter data, step count, and back to calories. Some have more choices than others. It'll depend on which watch face. So I'll just change to a different one again. Loads of choice, like I say, on the actual app itself. So if I put this main one back on here that I had on earlier, I can't scroll up and down if it's got colour changes. You see the colour slightly changing. So this one has got the calories in the middle now. That's the main data box. Press the back button. I've got exercise time, altitude, heart rate, steps, calories again. Some of them have more choices on what you can do, so it's worth just having a play about till you get the watch face that you want. I've got date and time. I've got seconds that only appears when I unlock the watch. To save battery, that will disappear when it locks, and I've got my battery life in the top, the middle left as well. So that is the watch faces. The other thing we can do with the Coros watch, we can load music to it and actually pair it with Bluetooth headphones. Now we can't load music via Bluetooth or any sort of streaming services. It is a little bit more old-fashioned. We do have to connect to a computer, and you need MP3 files. So just bear that in mind, it's MP3 files via a computer connection. I've actually got some music on here. If I had headphones paired, I could play the music, stop, pause, and I can pair it with Bluetooth headphones. So we have music. The other thing we can do with the watch is, I'm just going to show you on some of the widgets here, we can do a find phone, so you can find your phone, and some of the standard sort of features that you'd expect on a more looking at watch features. We can do a do not disturb so you don't get alerts through. And if I just scroll down the list here, we've actually got, when we get to timers, just get right the way around, we've got stopwatch, so we can't use it as a stopwatch, and so I've just come out of there by mistake. And we actually have timers you can set as well. So I've got timers for when I'm doing certain things. You can turn repeats on, and whether you want vibration and tone, so you can set timers. And there is actually an alarm clock on the watch as well. And the final one is, I haven't got any alerts actually come through, but if I had any message alerts from when it's paired with your phone, you can set in the app what sort of alerts you want to get. Is it text? Is it phone calls? Is it alerts from email services, from apps on your phone? We can do that via the app, and then if any alerts come through, you can actually read them on the watch. You can't actually reply back, you can just dismiss them, but you can read any notifications. So it's useful if you've got your phone in your backpack to stop it getting wet, you're out on a hike, someone was ringing you or sending you a text message, you can see that message and read it on the screen of the watch. You just can't reply back to them. So that's giving you an idea on some of the smart features on the Coros. If we now get the Instinct 2, we have a similar thing with watch faces. There's loads of watch faces you can download from something called the Garmin Connect IQ store. And if I show you on here, we can change the watch face I've got on here. So you can store, again, a number on the watch. I'm just scrolling up or down, some different choices here. And on these watch faces, you can set what you want data boxes to be. So probably a little bit more personalized than the Coros. You can actually, when you've got a watch face on here, you can say, well, I don't want the date at the top. I don't want battery life displayed in the bottom here. I want it to show steps. So you can, once you actually pick a watch face, you can then say customize, and then we can move down the different boxes, whether that be the circle in the top. So I'm changing that one at the top there to different things. I've got heart rate there, and then I can move to the one where I've got the date flashing here, and I can change that to different things again, so you can scroll through all the different options. So it's probably got a little more personalization on the watch faces, but they are monochrome, they're not color. If I just come back out there and say not to save changes, it'll just put it back to the watch face without the changes that I've made. So again, we've got different watch faces available for the Instinct. The Instinct does have something called Garmin Pay, which I haven't set up on this one. So you can actually set it up with the app and link it to one of your credit cards or Visa cards. So it's in wallet is empty, so we can use it then for contactless payment. This is only on the Instinct 2 Solar. The non-solar version doesn't do this. So it's nice that you can use Garmin Pay to pay for things. We actually have a Find My Phone, the same as we have on the Coros watch, and built into this we can control music, as in turn the volume up and down on something you've got paired with on your phone. So if you're listening to music on the phone, you can control the music, pause it, volume, etc. But you can't physically take the watch out and listen to music from the watch. And on the watch we do have timers and alarm clocks that we can set as well. So there's alarms, timers and stopwatch on the watch as well. One extra thing it does have, which would class as a smart feature on this watch, would be, sorry, I've just come out with the watch face there. We do have weather data as well. So when it's paired with your phone, you can get weather data on the screen as well, and then it'll save it on the watch to review back. So we don't have a weather data option on the Coros watch. We have notifications as well, so if someone was to send you a notification, I don't think I've got any on at the moment. Yeah, if we had a notification, it would tell us we had notifications there. You would get a buzz and alert on your watch as well, and you can read those notifications. Again, that can all be set up from the app, which notifications you actually get. Now on an Android phone, you can actually set up some very short replies, so that preset replies that you can set to reply back with. We can't do that on the iPhone version on the Coros app. So I hope that's just giving you an idea of some of the what we class as the smart features. Both watches have great apps that you can use within. The Coros app lets us plan routes, sync all your data, review all your data of where you've been. We can do exactly the same on the Garmin app as well. And we use the apps to set up the watches as well, which makes things nice and easy. So really the decision on what you go for could be personal. It could be due to the style of the watch, what style you prefer. It could be due to different activities that are available on the Garmin watch that aren't available on the Coros watch, and the fact that it's got the pay function that we don't have on the Coros. But again, the Coros has the nice colour screen. We get the maps on the Coros. We've got the sapphire glass and the titanium bezel, and I quite like the scroll wheel, to be honest. Now I've got used to using the scroll wheel, I find that quite useful, and the fact we've got the touch screen as well, so it could be something like that that sways you towards the Coros and with the colour screen. But again, a lot of this can be personal choice when you're looking at the style of the two watches, and we do have different finishes available on our website. One thing, when you do buy from GPS Training, from our GPS store, you do get free training and support in relation to a load of videos we've put together. So if you need help with the watch, you get access for a year for free. Lots of training videos we put together on the Apex 2 Pro, showing you how to use the watch, record activities, send routes to the watch, navigate with the watch. Exactly the same with the Instinct 2. There's loads of videos on setting up the watch for the first time and then getting out and using it, so you get the best out of the watch and it gets you going with the watch. You also got email and telephone support from ourselves. If you've got any further questions, you need more information on the watches, remember to visit www.gpstraining.co.uk. We do have a contact option at the top. We supply to the United Kingdom only from our store. You can go to the GPS store and look under GPS watches, where there's loads more technical information about both of these watches. I've enjoyed wearing them both. I found them both great watches to use. It is going to be again a personal choice which one you go for, but hopefully this video has helped you and give you a little insight into the differences between these two great watches, and thanks for watching.